Hey guys, it's Mind Our Mentalities here, and today we are going to do a presentation about voting. Now, I know there's probably a lot of you there just thinking, I can't be bothered to vote, it doesn't matter, but hopefully by the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that you will have changed your minds. Now, you have to register to vote by tomorrow. It's very easy and we'll give you details about the link, but ultimately all you have to do is put in register to vote into Google, and it will take you to the council website. If you are registered to vote, you will have already had your polling card come through. So if you have not had a polling card come through, which is like an A5 piece of cardboard that has got all your details about voting on, that should have come through. If it hasn't, you have to register by tomorrow. The general election isn't till the 12th of December, but you only have up until tomorrow to actually register to vote. Let's move on. So who can you vote for? And why? The main parties, I'm going to go through, there's 5 main parties that you can vote for, and they talk about their policies and their opinions, and when you get their manifestos, this is basically meaning what they claim they would do for you if they were to come into power in the government. The main issues that they argue on are education, the NHS, the Brexit, obviously, we all love in the whole Brexit debate, immigration laws, and the environment. Those are the main 5 things that parties will tell you about in their manifestos to inform you as to who you should vote. What I'll do now is we're going to go through each of the 5 main parties, and I'll introduce you to the people, because obviously I know that there are a lot of people out there that, yes, do follow politics, but there are some of you that don't. So I have tried to make this as entertaining as possible, but hopefully not too entertaining. I do also apologise because I will be trying to do some voiceovers. However, it may not sound like the person that is actually meant to be. First of all, we have the Conservatives, led by Boris Johnson. Hello, and if you vote me for your Prime Minister, then these are the things that I will do. With Brexit, I will continue with the deal that we have already arranged, and we will leave by January 2020. In terms of education, we will have increased school funding to 14 billion, and schools will receive regular checks to maintain and improve their standards. We will also raise the salaries and benefits of the teachers to a minimum of £30,000. With immigration, we will reduce the immigration after the UK Brexit. We will introduce the Australian style point-based system, which will mean that migrant skills will be considered, and they will have to meet a certain criteria. So ultimately, you can't come to this country or immigrate to our country unless you bring particular skills. In terms of the NHS, we will increase the budget by 33.9 billion by the year 2024, and we will update and build new hospitals and improve facilities for doctors and nurses. We will also create a new office for environmental protection and plant 30 million trees a year by 2025. Hey, I'm Jeremy Corbyn, and if you vote for Labour, we aim to renegotiate a Brexit deal and set up a public vote for whether you want to remain with a sensible leave deal, or we will remove the threat of a no deal. Oh, sorry, let me change my voice there. Hi, I'm Jeremy Corbyn, and if you vote for us, we would like to renegotiate a Brexit deal and set up for a public vote for remain or a sensible leave deal. We will not be having a no deal. We will, in terms of education, create a national education service which provides free education for all children and adults for life, and helps adults in England to retrain. Sorry, I have made quite a lot of spelling mistakes in this, but please ignore those. We also look to abolish university tuition fees and reintroduce maintenance grants, free school meals for primary school children, and reduce class sizes to less than 30 for all 5 to 7-year-olds. Stay with me. In terms of immigration, we will have an immigration system based on the needs of the community and the economy. For the NHS, we will increase the NHS budget by 26 billion. We will offer free prescriptions and a new state-run pharmaceutical company to make affordable prices. We'll remove hospital car park charges in England. And our priority will be to reduce the A&E waiting times. We will also have funded counselling for mental health, and all dental checkups will be made free. And in terms of the environment, we will have net zero carbon emissions by 2030. We will also have a green industrial revolution, including 320,000 apprenticeships in renewable industries. Hi, I'm Jo Swinson here. Our priorities as Liberal Democrats is to oppose Brexit and campaign to remain in the EU. If we are elected as a majority, then we aim to revoke Article 50, no Brexit. In terms of education, we aim to recruit more teachers and increase their salaries with a guarantee of a pay rise of at least 3% each year. We will reinstate the management grants for poorer university students, and we will provide 35 hours a week of free childcare for all 2 to 4-year-old children of working parents. For immigration, we create a new 2-year visa for students after graduation, giving asylum seekers the right to work 3 months after they've applied, and resettle 10,000 unaccompanied refugee children in the UK over the next 10 years. For the NHS, 7.8 billion a year will be used for improved health and social care. 10 billion towards improving the equipment and buildings. We will also create an independent budget monitoring body for healthcare. And in terms of climate action and the environment, we plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by zero by 2045. We will generate 80% of electricity from renewable energies and by 2030, and we want to plant 60 million trees a year. Hi, I'm Jonathan Bartley. And I'm Sean Berry. And this is what we promise to do. If you vote the Green Party, we will oppose the Brexit and campaign to remain in the EU. Otherwise, we will hold another referendum. For education, we will increase funding by at least 4 billion a year. We will abolish tuition fees and write off all existing debts of graduates. We will abolish Ofsted and restore local authority control over education. And we will ensure 35 hours a week of free childcare from the age of 9 months. For immigration, sorry, my accent's changed a little, but for immigration, we will scrap NHS charges for migrants and provide all migrants with access to legal advice, childcare, and a subsistence allowance. In terms of the NHS, we will increase NHS funding by 6 billion a year until 2030 and 1 billion a year to reinstate nursing bursaries. We will expand the NHS provision to include dentistry, prescriptions and mental health treatment. And in terms of the environment, I forgot what my accent is. Oh, there we go. We will spend 100 billion a year for a decade to tackle climate change and bake Britain carbon neutral. Oh, no, we're not going to bake Britain. We're going to make Britain carbon neutral by 2030. 70% of the UK's electricity will be produced by wind by 2020, with other renewable sources providing the rest. we plant 700 million new trees and phase out petrol and diesel cars by 2030. I'm Nigel Farage. And if you vote for the Brexit Party, this is what we will do for you. We will leave the EU and move to the World Trade Organization trading rules if a free trade agreement with the EU cannot be struck. We will scrap the interest on student loans and abolish the apprentice levy and introduce a new scheme for apprenticeship. We haven't announced any official policies on immigration because our priority, as it says in the name, is to get Brexit sorted. We will encourage the wealthier people in society to take out private medical insurance to remove the burden on the NHS so that they can provide the services for the people that can't afford it. And in terms of the environment, it's simple. We will recycle all waste within the UK and we'll plant tens of millions of trees. Now, there are other parties. I've checked in Birmingham because obviously I'll be voting via Birmingham. So I've checked for other available parties in Birmingham. And other than the ones that I've mentioned, there are some areas. So as you can see in brackets, that is the only constituency that that particular party is available in. So Christian People's Alliance is available in Hodge Hill constituency. Yeshua is available in Perry Barr, UKIP in Northfield, and Independent Party in Hall Green. So you can check out what these parties are also saying if you're going to vote them. Now, the reason, like my sister's just said to me as well, but this is the first time I've made such a big deal. I think we need to realise that 14.5 million people did not vote in 2017. That's a lot of voters that could have helped to change things. Okay, so don't lose your opportunity to influence what the outcome of the vote is. If you can imagine that even half of those people that didn't vote, and I know that I'm believing a lot of you that are watching this now, this will be the first time that you're able to vote. So please make a difference. Okay, remember, you're not voting for a prime minister as such, you're voting for a party. So whilst the Prime Minister is responsible for the direction that the party goes in, he or she isn't in charge of the whole country. So if you don't like a leader from a particular party, but you do like their policies, then think more about the policies as opposed to the person. It says that older people are more likely to vote than younger ones. So in the 2017 general election, 59% of 20 to 24-year-olds voted. So that's just over half compared to nearly 3/4 of the population, 77%, of 60 to 69-year-olds. But young people, your vote does count. It does make a difference. Okay, so let's change it. I hear a lot of you saying, why should I vote? Why should I pay any attention to that? And I'm hoping that some of these things that I mentioned now might help you make that decision. Voting gives you a say on important issues that affect you. Things like tuition fee increases or decreases, unemployment rates and what's being done by the government about it, and the economy. So things like housing prices. So right now you might not see the effect, but some of you might be going out there and considering wanting to buy your first house, or looking at the rates of savings, and so many things within the economy will affect you. Especially if you're now at an age of voting, you will see in this world of being an adult at 18, there are a lot of the things, the policies that we're voting for, that will have an effect on you. So if you don't register to vote, you can't vote. It's as simple as that. And just remember that if you register to vote and you still decide that you can't make a decision, then you don't need to vote. Obviously, I would try and urge you to make that vote, but if you're not sure at this stage, the best thing I can advise you to do is register. At least if you are registered to vote by tomorrow, then you have an opportunity to be able to use your vote. Across the world, and this is one of the reasons I started voting. So I was really bad and I didn't vote until I was in my 30s. And that's because I didn't think it counted. But when I looked at the people across the world that had died fighting for our rights to vote and be part of a democracy. Minorities weren't allowed to vote before. There were so many hurdles and barriers put in front of minorities. Women, the suffragettes, fought for our ability to be able to vote and to be able to be heard, and that changed and made a difference. The civil rights movement in America entitled people to be able to vote. So we've got to think about the fact that there are hundreds and thousands of people that have actually fought for our right to vote. So let's not abuse that right. Too many people across the world are still denied their right to vote. There are people in non-democratic countries that do not get to choose what happens to them or their children or their families or their housing or their economy. So they would love to be in our position. Let's take advantage of our ability to vote. Your vote is your voice. You might not feel like it counts, but it's better to be heard than to be silent, isn't it? So please vote. It's so simple to register. All you need to do is, if you go onto Google and put in www.gov.uk/register to vote, or even just in a Google search put register to vote, it will come up with that address. Your deadline is tomorrow, and I guarantee you it only takes 5 minutes. You just need to know your address. If you're a student, if you've recently started university and you're living away from home, then you can actually register at your home address and your university address. And then depending on where you are at the time of elections on the 12th of December, then you can use your vote in that particular area. So that way you don't have to, let's say that if you live in Birmingham but you studying in London, you don't have to worry about coming all the way back to Birmingham on the 12th of December to place your vote. You can actually vote in London. Okay. And if you'd like to find out any more information about any of this, ask any more questions, then please feel free to do so. There is an organisation called Simple Politics on Instagram that goes through certain things. And I know even some of this probably would have sounded complicated, but just try and think of what are your priorities? What do you want? What things are these parties saying that you feel are going to affect you? And you can also go onto the BBC website and have a look at what they say about politics. But please, please, please do vote. The deadline is tomorrow. From all of us here, we would like to say thank you for tuning in. Vote. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote.